Going live in 3, 2.
Hey y'all. We are here doing the Talkback for Blossoming 2021, a play reading series. We just had the first ever virtual showing of Alice Awake. I firmly believe that talkbacks are an opportunity to process the production as a community. So let's get into it. Let's dive deep and take a deep breath before we start. So y'all on the call with me, let's take a deep breath collectively. All right, cool. Look, we're already in community. It's incredible. It's incredible. Thanks so much to the folks watching from home. I just want you guys to know that the chat is active. So go ahead and put any questions that you might have for the talk back in the chat as we go along, and I will highlight your questions. As we're starting, I'd like you guys on the call to introduce yourselves. So please say your name, your pronouns, and what role you played in the project, and then popcorn the next person. Shantae, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start us off. My name is Shantae Brown, she, her, hers, and I am the playwright for Alice Awake.
I guess I'm in the frame, so I should just talk. And my name is Allison McCall, aka Al Wu. I wrote the lyrics for the piece, and my pronouns are she, they.
Hey y'all, my name is Janae LaShawn. My pronouns are she, her, and I got the opportunity to direct this beautiful piece of art and this talented actor.
Incredible. My name is Jocelyn, and I will be moderating for this evening. I didn't do nothing for the play, so don't give me any credit there. My pronouns are she, they. Let's dive in. So first off, I want to tell y'all the tension that was displayed through the mute button throughout was super impressive. I'm not going to mute anybody here though, so y'all know the drill. Zoom calls, just make sure you don't talk over each other this evening. So first question, had any of you guys seen the show before tonight? And what did you think?
I had not seen it before tonight. Saw previews, was of course there as it was being recorded, so saw it in its makings, but no, as a full recorded piece, I had not seen it, and I loved it. You know, I think the actors did an amazing job putting all of this together. First of all, the editors are superheroes. I don't know how they put that together so fast, because we were literally sending in footage up to the last moment. And for all the, you know, work that we put in, all the rehearsals that we were all there for, it was just an amazing piece, I think it turned out to be.
I'll choose who goes next. Allison, do you want to?
Well, yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, this is the first time seeing the piece all together. I mean, in ways, I feel like I was present for all the filming, so it was like, you know, I know, yeah, seeing it all together as one piece in order, because, you know, we shot it you know, according to the schedules of all the actors. So it was cool to see it all together. And yeah, shout out the editors. They really did some cool things with the piece to bring the story together.
And Janae?
Yeah, same, just like a lot of the same. And I will be completely honest with you, like I legit just arrived in Michigan today. And so I have not got to see it. But I did get to see a lot of clips because I was a part of the reason why we were sitting in it fourth quarter. So like going back and just like really looking at it, I was like, wow, what's going to happen? So I sent the link out to a few people before I got on tonight's call, and I plan to watch it tonight. So I'm excited. And I just know our little prelude conversation, everything you were saying was like, oh, ooh, yay, I'm excited. So yeah.
You're all good. We actually haven't finished watching it because we paused to come on. We had to pause for snacks, for all the things. So we're not done watching it, but we got pretty far in, and so I'm pretty anxious to get back.
I will be rewatching it probably this evening as well. I mean, I just watched it, but I mean, it was a delight, and I'll be sharing it with my fiance when he comes home. So I'm really excited to show him. I think my next question will be for Shantae. I'd like to know what the inspiration was, of course, for the play, and also when did you start writing it, I guess? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So the idea for this play first came because I was working with a youth organization. They commissioned me to write a play that was a new version of Alice in Wonderland. And when I was writing it, I was actually listening to a song by Al Wu called Wonderland. And it's just within the song, there are moments where it's just talking about the way that things just don't make sense. Like they'll try to game you, they'll try to twist things. And that was also her stage name at the time. And I was like, man, this would be really cool if like we really wrote a musical. Turned in a different version of this to that youth theater. It's living, it's going. But the play that I really got inspired to write in writing that was this story of how nonsense gets mirrored for us in the things that we dream about and the things that we see in those childhood fairy tales that we really love. They mirror that nonsense that's existing in the world. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if you got to climb into the book of Alice in Wonderland? And then I was like, but there are actually other books that I would climb into. And then as I was writing it, I was like, actually, it should be the reverse. The books should crawl out and become a part of our world. And so I started playing with that. But another thing that was really permeating under the surface as I was playing with these ideas, and nothing was going on paper because that's the first way that I write, is just, sit around, think about it, procrastinate, drive in my car, not write anything down. I was reading the Gary versus Snyder case that the Michigan youth had brought against the state, saying that they deserved an access and a right to literacy, and that becoming a thing of, is that a constitutional right that you have an actual right to literacy? And it made me so angry that this was a question. I'm a literacy person, I'm an educator, I'm a word lover. And it made me so angry that the very thing that empowers you to make any decision for yourself wouldn't be a right. And so I was really diving into the case, and I wanted the nonsense of that case as a whole and the legacy of education and restrictions on education and not having enough access to also be mirrored in that nonsense and being a looking glass for whoever got to see it. You can pull out of it whatever you want in this play based on where you are in the conversation around education and around rights. And I just thought, man, yeah, Alice in Wonderland is a crazy story. Let's make this a story that makes sense to something that I really understand and to youth voice.
I absolutely love that. I just talking about myself personally, I work with a youth nonprofit as well. And we go into schools and like teach them poetry and things like that. And so like seeing this, I was so emotional at like so many different parts. But when you guys personified the books to have the like lips and stuff, I just like lost it. It was so funny. I want to ask all of you guys, what's your favorite moment of like delight and whimsy that was injected into the play?
I think I really, really enjoyed, especially seeing the production. But what you just said, the books speaking, I was like, that is so much fun. I love the way that they took that virtually. And I think, if this play as a live play, you know, how that could be done differently. You know, it's like, you know, you can think about all those ways, but I thought it was so creatively put together to say, you know what, I like the talking, and I think it translated really well to anybody watching the piece. I was just like, yeah, talk to the books and have that conversation.
Yeah, there's so many parts that I love, and just, I think being an actress, just things where I'm like, oh, that's so yummy. I would love to get my hands on that. Or like, oh, tell the story, y'all. So like, I really enjoy the dynamics between the family members, between the father and the daughters and the sisters, and this ancestral reverence for the mother, which is also like a different type of guiding legacy and beautiful thread throughout the piece. Like having, for me, what I would consider almost like a womanist tone. The protagonist is of some feminine qualities and essences, and even the way that the pushback occurs of like, no, you're gonna respect me as Alice. You're gonna respect my voice. I loved Miss Walker. I felt like, oh my gosh, you nailed that. So like, just so many different parts and tones. I also work with youth, and when you all were just talking about the books, I'm thinking, what were my books that really transformed my life and my way of thinking? And I think that's something I would love to pose to youth and hear, like, what are you reading that has you inspired or excited or curious? You know, I was reading The Color Purple in like 4th grade. I don't know if that was appropriate, but I'm glad my mama let me do it. So that's a long-winded answer, but I love this play. It's so important right now. I feel like, you know, our Black community is non-monolithic, and everyone has the right to see their story portrayed and have that heartbeat moment of just like falling in love with the magic.
Yes. My favorite kind of onesie in there is actually Alice falling asleep. Because I so identify, and I feel like writers never say this, so I'm gonna just be transparent. It is so hard not to fall asleep reading. First of all, it's relaxing. I have my own tone in my head. And then it pulls me into daydreams because the words paint new pictures and they take me places outside of the book. And so I would have trouble reading long passages, reading long books. I would see, you know, a thick novel and be like, no, because I'm just gonna go to sleep. Like you're just giving me like sleepy time music, like Sade is playing, like I'm gone. And so what I learned to do was ask those questions. And, you know, this is a part of reading intervention, is getting people to ask questions, because that pulls you deeper into the text and you can find pieces of things in there that you were looking for, and on the way find other things that you didn't know you were looking for. And so just having a character that's not into words, obviously into words, but school isn't built in a way that works for this person. Books aren't introduced in a way that makes sense for this person. To be able to see Alice fall asleep and then wake up with a book surrounding them that was fun for me. Yeah.
Can I just also say, like, I'd be remiss not to say the rap, the bars, the pure gosh doggone talent. The last hip opera I seen was Carmen with Beyonce in it. So like there were moments with Mabel and Alice where I'm like, I was just like, that's so tight. This is gonna be so okay. All right. You know, I tried to be a Diddy director in those moments, but those were we have to say that. Like, I have to say that.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, that was fun. I've been writing raps for a long time, never put them in a play. So it is cool to have that opportunity. And I think Shantae did such a wonderful job piecing the story together to have those dynamic moments to play off of, to insert, to have this rap battle as the culmination. And I thought it was brilliant. So it was really, really dope to just jump into the framework that was there and tell that story. I'm glad that you liked it.
It was great. It was great. And let me say this too. Allison also kept this from being the Carmen play, because it was totally going into like 80s, 90s era hip hop. And Allison was just like, kids aren't going to do this. They won't rap like this. And I'm like, you are so right. I'm doing a total disservice to the babies. They are not with this. And I'm so happy that I had, you know, a professional MC to bring it today.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, some of the original drafts, I was like, all right, I see where we're going. I see where we're gonna get there.
And we did.
We did. So shout out.
I was reading the script and I was like, oh, I hope whoever's reading, I hope they got rhythm, man. I hope that this is gonna be good. And it was. I was like, in the first scene, I was like, I have been so blessed. I was like, wow, this is gonna be such a treat. It was incredible. We have a few folks in the comments or in the chat. Shout out to you guys. I want to read this question that we have. Catherine asked, what was it like to bring together live theater tools alongside digital tools? And what was that vision process like?
Man, I'm going to let you speak first, Janae.
It was fun, and I think because I just did finished up a graduate program in the midst of Zoom theater, there were things that I was like, I wish someone would have just let me play big. And I think the story like leans into that for expression and like voice and all. And so like, I just encourage people to have fun and play. And it was so easy to make that merger. I feel like there were moments where people were playing with technology, bring it in within props and frames. Like, it was great. It was wonderful. And because this play, I think, is written with that tone of millennials in mind, it just lended us to be as creative and as big as we wanted to.
I totally agree. Thank you. Yeah, I've been surprised at how easy it's been this whole pandemic to make the transition. I think it was hard at first because it's just like, I want to be in the space with people. Like, I miss live laughter, live sighs. I miss live sniffles together. Like, you know, I miss feeling the actor's energy. And so it was hard to let go of that, but you experience it in new ways with virtual theater. And even though, you know, in imagining the play, I'm like, you know, big cast, big stage, big, you know, Alice in Wonderland is big. It's a lot of theatrics, it's a lot of color. And, you know, so in imagining this as a virtual play, it put me more where Alice is at, where, oh man, I'm confined to this space, but I can make the most of what I have. I can make the most of what I have is where I feel like Alice ends up, you know, is actually there are new discoveries we can have within this. Actually, there are things that we don't need. Even as I heard the play, as we were recording it, I'm, you know, doing editing in my head of like, that's not necessary. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. There's so much we can do with less. And I think it made it more accessible. And that's what I love about virtual theater. Anybody can log on right now. When you get off work at midnight, you can log on and watch theater if you would like and have the comments to commune with. And so that's beautiful to me.
I definitely felt like all of the passion behind like every single person who was a part of it too. I think that that's one of my favorite parts about like art that's been made during the pandemic. It's like, we really want to still make art, you know, and we still want to be like involved and connected and like having community. And you guys like found a way to do that anyways, which I thought was really beautiful. We have another question. This one's from Holly. Holly asks, what is the biggest thing you've learned from this reading, and what's next for the draft? I'm assuming that this is for Shantae. So tell us.
I've learned so much in this. I mean, I fell in love with a new historical figure, you know, and doing the research for this and writing. Pauli Murray is everything. And so I think just there's so much more to discover. There's so much more within Wonderland to enjoy, to explore that, you know, and there's so much more to man, just like what a voice is. I spent a lot of time while I was writing this play also thinking about youth voice and what students have access to. I was teaching in virtual school. I taught some things. I also was watching others teach and coaching them through that process of teaching and doing that virtual engagement. And man, the amazing engagement that can be there and the ways that voice can be so easily shut down at the same time. Writing through that, I think, was really helpful to the teaching artists and the youth that I was serving this year. Just constantly thinking through that in the play world was really, I think, good for my spirit, good for keeping me motivated throughout this year. As far as the next draft, there are characters that I'd love to expand. I'd love to dig more into the actual court files of several cases that have actually hit Detroit as far as the youth fight for education. I'd love to know who came before Pauli Murray. That was just that Black hero that also embodied some femininity, that was really fighting on behalf of themselves and for others. So I want to dive more into research and go back for a really strong rewrite and maybe even convince Allison of more songs to put in.
Oh, yeah, that's
I think I can speak for everyone in the audience when I say that we would absolutely love that as a next draft. So, you know, just putting that out there. You know, we liked what we saw and we'd like to see more. So I have a question for Janae. Was it like, oh, this is a question that people have in the chat, actually. Ashley asks, first, how did Shantae and Allison meet? And then also, Janae, was it difficult to direct through a screen? I'd like to ask Janae that question first. Was it difficult to direct through a screen?
Yes, there's always going to be challenges, I think, when you're directing, right? You're bringing artists into a space, but it's still a space nonetheless. I think one of the coolest things was that we had people from Cali merging with Michigan, just like the Vagrancy is doing. However, that time difference is a mug. So that was probably like one thing. And then like we're all multifaceted and interdisciplinary artists. So really just like those typical challenges, though, I feel like scheduling can sometimes be a challenge. Life happening can be a challenge. However, it was never a challenge once in the room. The storytellers were prepared, ready to play. And it's like once you get in there, you like the time flies and you're like having great little mini conversations. So I'm happy that we were still able to build that community and have an energy that was vibrant enough that carried over into the storytelling.
That was totally felt. You know, I said that before, like you can feel the passion, but I don't know, the chemistry between characters was really felt too. I thought that was really like how you were able to do that was incredible. So the secondary question, no questions are secondary, just in order. How did Shantae and Allison meet?
Well, we went to high school together. So we kind of like knew each other from high school, but didn't know each other as like writers. You know, that wasn't what was happening at the time. We ended up reconnecting through a mutual friend, and
Who's also a writer.
Yeah, who's also a writer. And then we actually just randomly bumped into each other at a coffee shop, and she was in a playwriting meeting at the time. Yeah. And I was there working on a project I had with the client at the time. And then from there, we just started, you know, like, hey, hey, all right, cool. So that's the long and short of how we met. So we've known each other for, you know, a while.
Yeah.
I have a question for Allison. Do you typically act?
So yes and no. I did a lot of acting coming up.
That's how I knew of her in high school, was because she was in PA Guild. She was in the Performance Guild.
Yeah, I did performing arts like all the way up until my senior year of high school. Took a hard pivot and was like, yeah, I don't think acting is where I need to be. I don't think this is for me. And I went and did film. I got my bachelor's in radio, television, film from Howard, and wanted to come back home and produce media in the city. And I did freelance for a while, and that was, you know, one thing, but I ended up working at where I currently work. Actually, I work in the theater and dance department at Wayne State. And it was just very reinvigorating, I guess, to be around these actors and to see these plays. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember all of this and I miss all of this. And so I started acting again. And I actually, my first time getting back into acting was a little bit after I had met Shantae at this coffee shop and saying, hey, I want to act a little bit, you know, and I put my name in a hat for this project sponsored by 48 Hours in Harlem, but they like went on a tour and they did a 48 Hours in Detroit. And that was their first one here. And I got selected to be one of the actors in that. And just wildly enough, Shantae ended up getting pulled into the project. And even more wild is that they kind of like pulled our names randomly and we ended up on the same team. And it was like, whoa. So it was wild that we ended up in this same project. And that was my first time getting back on stage in a really, really long time. And Shantae wrote this fabulous 10-minute play. And I mean, she wrote it overnight and we turned it around. I was working with some really, really phenomenal actors.
Amazing.
And I mean, I was just blown away by what she was able to produce overnight. And
what they were able to learn overnight and perform off book on its feet with props.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. But honestly, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And I was like, oh yeah, we gotta make this happen. And it got a lot of positive feedback from that. Led to some other auditions, like people seeing me there, getting, you know, cast and other things. We did a couple other projects together. So Shantae has really pulled me. I told her I wanted to act and she was like, I got you, say less.
She was like, I want a monologue. And I was like, all right. And she told me the story later, like, I was thinking like, this monologue, I don't know, it's not gonna be nothing.
She's not gonna write nothing, no. She didn't watch, it's gonna be buns. She pulls this monologue out, I'm like, this is amazing. Who is this? I'm like, who is this person? What? And no, I was a fan, like beyond that. So yeah, I'm acting because Shantae, and also this is gonna be the last thing I say regarding this is I think it's so important for playwrights like Shantae to exist because they write characters like me to exist. You know, Shantae writes the theys into existence. And without that, it's like, you know, how do we exist to a broader audience? You know, how do our stories exist? So like the first project that we did, you know, it's like I'm a queer character, like, and then just, yeah, writing this identity, and just building into this canon, I think is great work that needs to be done. So thank you so much for writing these characters, because it gives, that's how I can act, as opposed to acting, but I can be authentically myself.
Thank you for saying that. And it makes me think about like how far actors has come in the roles that they demand, because when I first started having this mission of like, I want to write as many queer characters of color into my work as possible. I just need us to be centered in stories, because it shouldn't have taken so many years for me to find myself in work. Our mirrors should be everywhere around us so we can get a 360 of ourselves. And so when I was first starting to write this, I knew there were actors who wanted to play these roles, but they were also afraid. Like, I can't have my family come see me play this character. They're gonna know, who I am if they see me play this character this well, this authentically. And so I'm really excited to just have people who want to wear the work and reshape it and reform it and teach me about where I'm still not getting it right.
I know I'm supposed to say something profound after that, but that was absolutely incredible. I mean, like you almost made me cry like while speaking. Like I said at the beginning of the call, my pronouns are she, they. And often I think, for queerness and representation of queerness, there's not a lot of the fluidity, the unlimitedness that is in your play. And I think that seeing that representation brought me to tears multiple times. Watching it almost brought me to tears. I'm not about to mess up my makeup on screen, but it almost brought me to tears just now. And I also want to thank you, Shantae, and I also want to thank you, Allison, for playing Alice. You guys crushed it, and Janae, you for directing everybody and making them shine the way that you did. I just want to honor that for a second. Okay, all right, we're gonna move on. The chat is still popping here. There is a question from Jessica. Jessica asks, Shantae, are there other futuristic tools, be it virtual, Zoom, or otherwise, of theater that you want to experiment with? P.S. You're the bomb.
That's cool. I actually have to credit Allison for where I really want to go and experiment with in theater. Allison's been working on making media mobile and how do artists use mobile media kits in order to produce shows, and also doing some really cool stuff with 360 cameras. And so that's what I want to dive into, is how do we make immersive VR accessible theater experiences? How do you bring people more onto the stage? How do you play with point of view in a new way? How do you get the best seat in the house? Like, you could be Othello, experiencing that show, and what other stories could be better told through a VR experience, and how does that help us get back together, because we know the world ain't going back to what we considered normal, and there are just other ways that we are going to be accessing stories together. And so I'm really excited about what technology plays a role in as far as live theater storytelling, or recorded theater storytelling. Like, virtual just popped it open. Okay, it was just like boom. Like, we can do whatever we want. Okay.
And Shantae, if you don't mind, I would love to add that I think with your experience within youth development, like, I also see that youth voice like being modeled in this show, and then I'm sure other aspects of your work. But social emotional learning, this is in the category of STEAM. This is addressing the digital divide. This is like, great artistry is groundbreaking, transformative, and timeless. This is a classic that we've heard our whole little 30-some odd life. but this is different, right? Like, and when we do have the classics reimagined, we're cooking. And that is not just within the content, right? That is also within the how, because I can imagine VR theater really taking off, because a lot of people don't feel like that building is, it's not of comfort to them, you know, sometimes. But I just wanted to add, like, I think that there's so many layers of like, goodness.
That's so cool. And you know, I'm also definitely working on a curriculum based off the work. So teachers have been awesome in this state. I mean, y'all have really killed the game. And if I can make it easier to let your kids have fun with a piece of work, and like you said, build on that social emotional learning, like let them find themselves in it, you know, let them find other pieces of history that maybe aren't included in the curriculum they get. And if they could do it in a VR headset and be able to have a ball, you don't have to beg a kid to come to class. The school should be everywhere. You know, it really should be.
Thank you so much for that, you guys. I want to ask this question. I'm wondering about how the raps came into fruition. I know from what Shantae said, you were like listening to and were inspired by Allison's raps, but I'm wondering, did you guys also like collab on some of them? How was that process?
You know, actually, yeah, Shantae, she wrote some of the rhymes that were already there, just kind of like give me the framework for, you know, where are we in this moment? Actually, in one of the raps in the play, Shantae, actually, this was Shantae's rap. This is that, like, one of those raps is her. So actually, if you like the raps, you know, you're actually hearing Shantae spit. Oh, like, which is actually really, really cool because, like, I feel like Shantae is, I mean, her rap skills actually are like, I'm gonna have to watch out for her. Like, we might have to turn the next one into a rap battle for real. Like, okay, look, what's really good. But yeah, I've been writing like raps. You know, only reason why I didn't go into like actually like full throttle rapping as a like younger was because I was like, everybody raps, you know? So it was like, I was writing raps, but then it kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, I got all these raps. I might as well like put them somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And do something with it. So, I mean, when it came to writing this, when, you know, she asked me, would I be interested in writing these raps? It's like, yeah, that's what I do. I write rap. So, it was, I mean, there were some challenges, I think, too, because you know, like some of the original drafts we were saying before, it was like the rhythm I was going where I was hearing where it was headed, but then it was like, how do we translate this? How do we translate this to where rap is right now? And rap is like changing right now in a way that's like, you know, how everything's changing so quickly. Like, I feel like when I was growing up, it wasn't really like that many different kinds of rappers. Like, I feel like you hit an era and everybody's kind of the same thing. But like now, so many kids, like, you have Spotify, you know, like young people aren't listening to the radio where everybody's listening to the same thing. So it's like so many different types of hip hop that youth are listening to, which I think is really cool because it's very eclectic. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do as well, was to demonstrate those different genres even and subgenres of rap. So like the first song is like it's a drill beat. It's a UK drill beat. And that's, you know, like I wanted to go there because I'm like, that is a sound of now. Like that's something that Pop Smoke sound, you know, like that New York sound. So I thought that was fun. But then like switching it up, you know, where we do have those moments where it goes more old school, it goes more just toe-to-toe battle. And the more contemplative rap where, you know, thinking about, I have these choices. What do I want to do? How do I want to move? How do I want to engage in the world? And I think kind of we're in emotional rap right now. You know, I don't know, rappers be crying, you know what I'm saying? Rappers really be sad. And so it was, yeah, it was fun to be able to kind of create all those different moods and feelings and stuff like that throughout it.
It was also a challenge because Allison does not censor herself in her raps, in her personal raps. And so writing something that I was like, okay, I want a youth audience to be able to consume this and not have to sneak, you know, I want this to be able to be played by youth and not have to have parent permission.
I was like, they can't cuss at all.
And I was like, they
in high school.
They can't cuss.
High school kids cuss.
Yeah, exactly. And so trying to find that authentic voice with, you know, with a limited use of the typical teenage vocabulary that I think often adds that authenticity. You know, I love to hear kids talk their shit. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I was like, how do we put this on stage and make it palatable for a family audience? And that was a challenge. And how do I make the conversation of gender something that a full audience could understand? And how does that come into the raps? And so that was a fun challenge to get over. But then also, like, I was writing the play separately along with the vagrancy. And so I had these deadlines that I had to meet. So I'm like, okay, all right, I got this story together. Allison also had a full year of things to do. And so she come in and we, you know, she showed me what rap she had. And I was like, oh man, I didn't need to say any of that. Like, this is so captured within the song, like the brevity and the beauty that, like, okay, I got to go back and change this. No. I gotta make it all fit together so that it's this like lovely harmony. And that was really fun. It was really fun to see it reshape the story.
And it did. I mean, I feel like it shaped like my engagement as well, like in the play. I mean, the play is engaging enough as it is. But I mean, you had me hooked like that, like instantly. I was like, oh yes, this is a good one. And I think that that's something that like a youth audience will also say, you know, like this isn't just like, you know, like any type of play. It's like a play for me, which I think is awesome. There's a quote that I really liked. Alice says, what's the point of being unlimited if no one around me gets it? And now Mabel can't even see me. She's the only one who doesn't make me feel like a mistake. Shantae, where did that line come from?
I was really just trying to represent a conversation that I've heard youth who refuse to fit into the box say, that they have no issue being themselves. It's how do I find a place to be myself in this world? And it is so easy to become wrapped around somebody who actually sees you. I think their relationship is beautiful and dangerous. And I wanted to capture that you can't just have one person who sees you, because that means so much of you is erased throughout the rest of the day. And so, I think it's easy to say, like, be yourself and it's all going to be good and have confidence and live out loud and all of that. And it's like, okay, but in reality, if nobody is honoring who I'm presenting, what am I doing this for? It has to be more. There has to be more. There has to be somebody, more than just somebody, who can really see and understand me and live with me. Otherwise, I'm not living. I am alone. And so I wanted to figure out, how would a teen really say that? They're not going to say all of that. They're just going to say what's true for them in that moment. And I felt like it was true in the dialogue.
It definitely was. I'm going to speak for everybody there. It was true. Somebody in the chat, Jessica said, Shantae, your Uncle John said he's proud of you. I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you, Uncle.
I think I'll ask 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap for the talk back. But thank you both. Well, both. Thank you all 3 of you for being so candid tonight. Carrying that into the next question, how will you move forward with this experience? How is this, like being involved in this, changed you?
I want to keep working with my community. I love working with my community. I think more than even getting the projects done, it's about the relationships that get built, the conversations that get had, the conversations that get started and where they go when we leave each other. And I love working with my community. It's been an honor to reach back and work with director and actors who I haven't worked with in years and see that we still have this spirit together. It's been wonderful to work with new actors, and to everybody I workshopped with, it's been great. So I want to continue that.
I think writing in this way has just been a really exciting experience for me. I'd love to continue to write for the stage, write hip hop plays. And I think getting older too, it's like, okay, what do performances look like? You know what I mean? What does music look like? And I think for me, being able to write something and get it published in a play like this that lives beyond like a mixtape, you know what I mean, an album or something that's like on SoundCloud, but it's like, no, you bring it to life on stage. The whole point is for you to get the text, get the lyrics, get the sheets, and do it your own way. I think like, wow, that's fire. And I would love to write more raps to see how people reimagine the work in different places.
Okay, I'm kind of happy that I didn't know everything about Allison that I learned tonight, because I think I would have been a little like, maybe it all makes sense. Like, it all makes sense. But I think with me being fresh out of grad school and being able to direct with Shantae, someone that like I've had some touch and go work experiences with in Kalamazoo, like it was just already like a warm and fuzzy like invite. And yeah, man, like I don't know, I'm excited to continue working and crafting in intentional spaces with people that look like me and that are tribe. I believe like I'll be directing something in the near future. And I'm excited about that. Like, that's going to be really good. So this was like a great, like, preview, because I know I want to audition for this show when it get in the theater. And I know like I will also direct it if asked, and or dramaturgy, like whatever. I just want to keep having my hands on it and being invited to the table. So yeah, moving forward, I think I'm just gonna continue to have a collaborative directorial spirit, and fangirl out when I learn new things about my cast.
Oh, we can't hear you.
I'm muted. I fixed it. Okay. Thank you guys. So I know I said I was only going to ask y'all 2 more questions, but somebody from the audience asked another question and I want to highlight that too. So Anna asked, do you have any interest in adapting the work for school, as in like a regular school day? It seems like school is ripe for this type of revolution.
Yes. I mean, the problem is it's 2.5 hours, and the typical break that a student would get is 55 minutes. But I would love to see youth actually doing this work. I would love to see them embody it and put their own spirit and spin and tone and relevance on it. So I'm totally writing it in mind that this will be with students and it'll be their work.
That's awesome. I think that that would be just like the sprinkle on top of everything that you guys have already done. Like adding a youth voice to it would just make it shiny. Okay, this is my last question. Do you have any final words or affirmations to leave the audience with?
I want to start when I've been thinking about this the whole time as I watched the show, is that this work is about the conversation of not only the past, decades of this fight, but also this past year in a virtual space, and that virtual really worked for a lot of people and healed a lot of people. And so I hope that the conversation around this is about giving youth more access to those kind of choices, because I do think that as we look at our history, we can sometimes not thank the people who are really doing the work. We can point out everything that's wrong and not appreciate everybody who's helping to make it right. And so that's what I hope one of the takeaways is tonight. And to people who are watching, I'm really grateful. Thank you. Thank you for your time, because it's precious and you ain't got to give it to nobody. And if you gave it to this story, I'm really grateful. And I hope that you got to laugh and feel something good as you were watching.
Totally. I think you summed it up so well. And especially just for me, feeling something out of it, I'm super thankful for all the folks who are here on this call, and to say thankful for this conversation, thankful for the direction. Thank you for the opportunity to put this work together. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. And it's just, the work continues. Marathon continues.
Y'all, I've been fighting with this little fly over here for a little minute now. But takeaway, final words. I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful. Shantae, just thank you for seeing me, bringing in my voice, my creativity. And I guess final word, just understand, we all have a wonderland, and never stop dreaming and never stop being curious. And until you find yourself, fight for it. We all have the ability to manifest that dream, that passion, that purpose within us. And if you don't see it, that doesn't mean that it doesn't belong. We're just waiting for you, So that would be my takeaway. And this, just enjoy the show as much as you can. I know I am. After this call, I want to see everything that we did. I'm oh yeah, we just did that. We just did something. We did the thing.
We did a big thing.
We did a really big thing.
Thank you so much, Janae and Shantae and Allison, for talking with me tonight. And also thank you so much for creating, starring in, and directing a play that is really needed and necessary right now for a lot of different reasons, but especially for the representation that you guys are bringing to theater. Thanks so much to everybody who also lent their time and talents to this play, and thank you to the Vagrancy, and thank you especially to those of you who are watching and sharing space with us virtually. That has been our Talkback. Have a good rest of your night, you guys.
Thank you, Jocelyn. You were amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
Bye, y'all.